While you sleep tonight, somewhere out there, a beaver is already awake. And it's not just swimming around. It's doing something that almost no one ever sees, something it does every single night, and something that keeps its entire family alive. This video is about what beavers actually do after dark. Most people think of beavers as builders, the animals that chop down trees and pile up sticks. And that's true, but it's only part of the story. Because the thing beavers do most consistently, most carefully, and most quietly every night isn't building anything new. It's checking what's already there. And when you understand why they do that, and what they're actually listening for in the dark, the whole picture of how a beaver thinks completely changes. We're going to walk through the full nightly routine, what triggers it, what the beaver is actually doing out there, and why one tiny sound in the middle of the night can set the whole process in motion. There's also one detail near the end that genuinely reframes everything you thought you knew about how beavers work. So picture this. It's just after sunset. The pond is completely still. The surface looks like dark glass. Most of the forest has gone quiet, and from the outside, nothing seems to be happening. But just below the water line, near a large dome of sticks and mud sitting in the shallows, something moves. A dark shape breaks the surface. Barely a ripple. And the beaver's night has just begun. Here's the first thing you need to know. Beavers are not strictly nocturnal the way owls are. They're more like evening and night inspectors. Dusk is actually one of the best times to spot them, because that's when they start moving. They can be active during the day, but darkness gives them something they really need: cover. On land, a beaver is slow and awkward. It waddles. It can't outrun a coyote or a wolf. It can't climb anything. But in the water, it's a completely different animal. Fast, agile, nearly impossible to catch, and it knows every inch of that pond. So the whole system they've built, the dam, the pond, the lodge, it's all designed around one idea: stay close to the water and stay safe. Night just makes that safer. But here's where it gets interesting. The first thing a beaver does when it enters the water isn't heading toward food or toward the dam. It pauses. It floats near the surface and it listens. And what it's listening for is running water. That might sound simple, but it's actually one of the most fascinating things about beaver behavior. Beavers are wired to respond to the sound and feel of flowing water. Not still water, moving water. A trickle, a current, the soft sound of water pushing through a gap somewhere in the dam. That sound is basically an alarm signal built directly into their biology. When they hear it, something shifts. They move toward it. Now, researchers have found that this isn't as automatic as it sounds. It's not just hear water, block water. The beaver is reading a whole set of signals: the depth of the pond, the flow rate, the time of year, what materials are nearby. Context matters. In fact, during periods of high water, a beaver might let a small leak run freely because the pond level is already fine. The beaver isn't a machine. It's making a judgment call. But when the water level starts dropping, when that leak starts to matter, the response kicks in fast. So let's say the pond has dropped a little. The beaver picks up on it. The sound is slightly different. The current near the dam has changed, and the beaver starts moving. It swims the length of the dam slowly, not rushing, just checking. This is the part that almost no one talks about. The nightly routine isn't usually about building something new. It's maintenance. It's inspection. The beaver is running its hands, literally, along the base of the dam, feeling for weak spots, soft patches, places where the mud has shifted or a stick has worked itself loose. And when it finds one, it doesn't panic. It just gets to work. The repair kit a beaver uses is whatever the site gives it: sticks, small logs, rocks, clumps of grass, leafy vegetation, river debris, and mud. Lots of mud. And here's a quick thing worth clearing up. Beavers do not plaster mud with their tails. That's a myth that's been around forever. The tail is used for steering in the water, for balance on land, for storing fat, for releasing heat, and for that iconic warning slap. But the mud work? That's done with the front paws and the mouth. The beaver pushes mud into gaps with its hands, packs it in, and layers sticks on top to hold everything in place. It's slow, methodical work, and it can go on for hours. Now here's why this matters so much, and this is the part that really changes how you see a beaver dam. The dam isn't a wall, it's a water level machine. The whole point of the dam is to keep the pond deep enough, stable enough, that everything downstream of it stays safe. And by everything, what the beaver really means is the lodge. The lodge, that dome of sticks and mud you see sitting in the water, doesn't have a door on the side. It has underwater entrances. The only way in or out is by diving below the surface and swimming through a tunnel that opens up inside the dry chamber above. Which means if the water level drops, those entrances can become exposed. And exposed entrances mean predators can get in. So when a beaver is out there at 2 in the morning packing mud into a small crack in the dam, it's not doing busy work. It's keeping the front door locked. That's important, but there's another layer to this that most people don't think about. The beaver can't just keep raising the dam forever. If the water gets too high, the lodge chamber floods. So the beaver is constantly balancing two things: keep the water deep enough to protect the entrances, but not so deep that the family's sleeping chamber fills with water. Every repair, every adjustment, is part of that balance. The beaver is managing its environment the way an engineer manages a system, and it's not always doing this alone. In late fall especially, when the whole colony is preparing for winter, you can have multiple beavers working the dam at the same time. Adults, juveniles, the whole family group out there in the dark, each one carrying material, packing mud, reinforcing sections. It's not random, it's coordinated, and it's all pointed at the same goal: get the dam solid, get the pond stable, and get the lodge ready before the water freezes over. Because here's the other thing beavers are doing at night during fall. They're building a food cache. Beavers don't hibernate. They stay awake all winter, mostly inside the lodge, and they survive on branches and stems they've stored underwater near the entrance. So on the same night a beaver is repairing the dam, it might also be carrying branches to a specific spot below the surface, anchoring them in the mud, building up an underwater pantry that it won't be able to see or reach for months once the ice comes in. It dives down, disappears into the dark water, and returns to a food supply that's completely invisible from above. That is a level of planning that's easy to underestimate. So let's pull back and look at what's actually happening out there every night. The pond looks empty. The forest is quiet. But just below the surface, a beaver is running a full inspection of its home. It's listening for the sound of running water. It's feeling the dam for weak spots. It's carrying material, packing mud, reinforcing the structure that keeps the pond deep, keeps the lodge entrance underwater, and keeps the family safe inside. And when the work is done, it slips back through the underwater tunnel, into the dry chamber above, and the night goes quiet again. Every night, a beaver isn't just building a dam. It's checking whether its entire world is still safe. That's not instinct running on autopilot. That's a system. A survival system built around water, family, and the kind of quiet, consistent work that most people never see, because it happens in the dark, while everyone else is asleep. If you found this as fascinating as I did, there's a related video right up here about beaver tail slaps. Why that sound carries way more information than most people realize, and what it reveals about how beavers actually communicate. It's worth watching back to back with this one. And if you want more animal behavior content like this, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment below too. I'm genuinely curious. Did you already know beavers had underwater lodge entrances? Or was that new to you? Because most people are surprised by that one. See you in the next video.